Okay, and so, okay, if you had to pick somebody, who would probably be your biggest hero in film? Just one person. That's
I I get a lot of shots of feet, so I would just go with Quentin Tarantino. It seems like it's kind of a running joke on set. Whenever I get shots of feet during an action sequence or any type
Any
of motion
sequence.
sequence, any sequence exactly. I get lots of shots of feet, but.
Feet.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I really don't want to. I mean, we can name drop all day long, but I really don't want to say that the film is like any of these things because I think that we've kind of invented our own style. And yeah, we've taken some stuff from these people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from different writers and directors, and you know, yeah, I definitely have it here. And I would love to meet Quentin Tarantino one
Mm-hmm.
day. You know, I heard that he's a nice guy in person and an asshole on set. You know, which you kind of have to be, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in his position. So. Um, yeah, Quentin Tarantino, I would say.
okay. And for your personal career after this, what do you plan on doing? Like, do you want to do another movie, or are you interested in doing something a little different with it?
I think that we are going to do another film. I don't really want to talk about it too much because we haven't really decided. We're kind of throwing around ideas for a documentary, and we're kind of throwing around ideas for
A horror movie.
a horror movie. Like, there would be horror / action,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
So I think that I just want to keep making movies, and I think that you know, I'm always going to have to kind of do something on the side. Right now I'm a cook, and I'm leaving there and going to try to. I might end up working for a couple TV stations in the Kansas City area, but I'll always kind of be on the side. I think I'll always be, you know, dabbling in film, and you know, I've got kind of an extensive resume that I'm getting ready to drop online that people can look at. See, because I would like to do, you know, like DP for any other films or even just grip, you know, or be an assistant producer or anytime there's a larger budget film being shot in the Kansas City area, I'd like to try to get onto it. So I'm just going to kind of dabble in a little bit of everything and continue to try to produce my own movies until I get recognized. I think the goal of this film for me was just to be recognized as a Midwest, not even a Midwest, just a Kansas City filmmaker, you know, and to kind of work my way up from there because I think it's a very, very long ladder to climb to be recognized filmmaker. So.
All right, and Scott,
Yeah.
along the same questions. What got you interested in writing and directing?
In writing, well, I'm a lot older than he is. I'm 36, so I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I've always written. And like Joey, I played role playing games of all kinds until I was 30, and wrote some, you know, freelance. Started writing role playing games. Got into comic books, which I've always collected comic books. I only quit collecting about 2 years ago, and I started trying to get into the comic book industry as a writer, which I almost got there 2 or 3 times, and it never really worked out. So I decided to focus on different writing styles and formats and whatnot. So I started writing a novel and a screenplay at the same time, and I finished the screenplay 8 years later and the novel 11 years later. But as far as film goes, I can't remember the first movie I ever saw, but I do remember really vaguely seeing American Graffiti, which was George Lucas's second movie, when I was like 2 or 3. And I had a really liberal mother who would let me watch almost anything I wanted to watch on like late night HBO or horror movies that were on late at night. Charles Bronson movies, Clint Eastwood movies, the Death Wish movies, Dirty Harry, Mad Max, Star Wars, Alien, Blade Runner, Indiana Jones. And then as I got a little older, I got really into horror, Stephen King, Clive Barker, H.P. Lovecraft, that kind of stuff. And the horror aspect of Deep River, it comes from my obsession with horror as a genre. It's kind of burned out since. I love horror movies, but they're bad now. And there aren't very many good ones. The crime aspect of it comes from Quentin Tarantino, but that also comes from like all that 70s kind of exploitation, action, violence, Shaft, just the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, anything that was way over the top and supposed to be shocking. The Exorcist, Deliverance. And my mom was so liberal about these things and thought that, once I was 8 or 9, I could probably handle my shit. So she would let me watch, anything. Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, all of John Carpenter's early stuff, Alien. The crime stuff came many years later. When I read The Godfather when I was 16, and then I started to, I had actually never seen the movie, and then I saw the movie, and started reading stuff like James Ellroy and Jim Thompson, and just all that pulp crime stuff from the 60s and 70s. Almost anything that was made into a movie with Steve McQueen was written by Jim Thompson, something like that. James Ellroy up through Andrew Vox and all these other crazy ass crime authors who just don't have any boundaries about what they'll write about. So long story short, I have no idea how I got into making movies. It just kind of happened. I always wanted to make movies. I can remember wanting to make movies since I was about 17, but no idea how to do it and no real technical knowledge of how to do it. I'm a writer first. The directing thing just kind of came along.
Well, fabulous, gentlemen. That's all I've got. Thank you. That was fun.
Cool.
Good.
Have any
you
stuff
happy?
that you want to add?
Yeah, I don't know. Did we go through all the stuff that you had, or
Yeah, I think so.
did you?
Yeah.
Went through all my
I think
questions.
that's I'm cool.
Saying
I'm cool with
anything off
it.
the top of your head?
No, I
Can
think
I add on
it'll.
real quick?
I think it'll.
Yeah, I think it's probably sufficient.
Yeah.
Sufficient.
Just,
I think it'll
Think?
work.
That was good.
We'll throw it on the internet.
Chop it up.
As